Hey, hello again. Well, I'm down on the Tacoma waterfront, the Foss Waterway, Commencement Bay. There's just a ton of interesting scenes down here that could make some interesting paintings. I love wandering around down here, the sights, the sounds. Some beautiful museums down here on the Tacoma waterfront. I've had my eye on this area for a while under the Murray Morgan Bridge, beautiful old black steel bridge. It's opposite the Port Fire Authority and some ship rebuilding yards, so just lots of complicated, interesting shapes and things to paint. I took some pictures along here on a walk a while ago, and I've been sketching some different compositions at home, and I think this is what I'm going to attempt. Got my normal kind of abbreviated colors out on the palette: ivory black, cold gray, titanium white, cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, sap green, burnt umber, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, cad red, cad yellow, Windsor lemon, and yellow ochre. Don't know if I'll need all of these, but I've got them out in case. I've got turpentine. I'll start with a turpentine sketch and a turpentine wash. Once I get the wash done, I'll put this away and get the Gamsol out. It's a nice breeze here. It's not too windy, but enough of a breeze that it keeps the turpentine fumes away from me so I don't start feeling dizzy. But I'll still put it away as soon as I can so that I'm not breathing the fumes any longer than I have to. Got a little bit of Neil McGilpin here, so when I start to mix up the colors to match the scene, I'll add a little bit of Neil McGilp to each mix to correct the viscosity. I like the paint to stick to this little vertical side panel, so it can't be too runny, but I like it a little bit looser than what it normally comes out of the tube. Rembrandt's great almost straight out of the tube. It has a great creaminess right out of the tube, but other paints can be a little stiffer. So I correct it so that it's just about like room temperature butter, where it's real easy to pick up and move around, but it doesn't run down the panel. It's not too wet. With an 11 by 14 inch Multimedia Artboard. This is oil primed linen on Sintra, so it's real thin, lightweight. It still has some stiffness. It's a Clausen's 13, so it's a little more on the fine side. I've painted on Clausen's 13 oil primed linen before and like it, but I haven't tried it from Multimedia Artboard. Pretty affordable and should be good quality. Alright, if you've watched my recent videos, you know I'm looking for a way to be a little more gestural, a little looser with my initial wash. So I've been trying different pointed rounds so that I can try to do the initial sketch in almost a contour drawing style, where I just draw in the dark shapes, the no-tan outline basically, with a fully loaded, very diluted paint on the brush, and then do the turpentine wash from there. So I'm going to give this, I got a new pointed round series 272 from Rosemary. It's a number 6, so it's got a pretty deep barrel, pretty fat barrel, so hopefully it holds a lot of diluted paint. This is the first time I'm using it, so I'll loosen it up with a little bit of turpentine first. I think I'll go with burnt umber for the sketch. Alright, so I'm going to have a little bit of this bank in the foreground with the fallen logs in this corner. So there, I've already broken the contour drawing rule, which is you're not supposed to pick up your pencil, but that's okay. You don't have to be too rigorous about it. The point is I don't want to be real fussy with this. I want it to be pretty gestural. So now I'll come in with this dock just below this lower 1/3 line. This is all about nailing the perspective without being too finicky about it. If you need help with that, you can use your iPhone. There's an iPhone trick where you can add the 1/3 lines to a photo on your iPhone, and it'll really help you with getting the perspective right in your drawing. So then the dock will come out this way to these beautiful red fireboats. I'm going to add just a touch of red to mark the fireboats. The inclination is to make them really big, but they're not that big in the scene if I want to fit the bridge. Just something like that for now to hold their place. And then the bridge itself, the underside of the bridge will be up here close to this upper 1/3 line. And it'll come from roughly here, and it'll go to almost down to this lower 1/3 line. And it's not quite flat. It has kind of a stepping motion. Something like that. I think I want to drop it a little bit lower over here. And the far horizon line is here, connected to the darks here. Then the top of the bridge travel from here something like that. And then this bridge pier yeah, this brush is working nicely. It carries a lot of paint, so I can almost do the turpentine wash with it. Then I want the roofs of these little marina huts. Out here. It's kind of nice. They're at different heights. And they come in front of this big pier. big superstructure for the bridge. I think I want to make sure it's lined up with this lower pier. Something like that. And there's a cable rack way up here in the sky. It all has to follow these lines of perspective, so I don't want to be too finicky about it. I'm not going to draw up the vanishing points or anything, but I want to just compare to what I'm seeing here. The perspective's a little distorted feeling too, because I'm looking up at the bridge from this position. Okay, and then when the water is more still, I can see the reflection of this superstructure and the pier down in the water, so I want to make sure I carry that down. This brush is shedding a little, which is kind of normal for a brand new brush, especially these softer brushes. But hopefully it stops doing that after I use it a few times and clean it a few times. Okay, and then this far background bank, there's lots of busy shapes. I'm just going to keep that pretty abstract. I do want the horizon line of the water to be consistent across the panel though. Then there's lots of narrow columns down here with just a little bit of light showing through. And then again, some abstract busyness over here. There's some boats here. Now, I don't want those to be too distracting, so I'm just gonna, what I'll do is I'll carve in the rest of this dock system, hint at it, and then I'll hint at a few of these boat shapes. When the water is more calm, you can see the undercarriage of the bridge here as well. And that should be kind of fun to draw some ripples in. This is too long, so I want to cut that back a little. Okay, that's good for the sketch. I'm going to go into the turpentine wash now. Pretty happy with this. I think so far the nicest one for this gestural initial sketch has been this beautiful red dot UK 304. That was fun. Maybe it's the shorter handle too that makes it a little bit more like doing a contour drawing. I'll use a little bit of alizarin crimson to wash in the sky. The clouds have a beautiful warmth. I'm going to mix a little bit of this cad red in there too for the sky. I don't usually do that, but I'll try it today since the clouds have a nice warmth. Use the same mixture, add just a touch of ultramarine blue, and wash in the water. You can see how the centra is kind of bending, letting the panel bend at the corner. I don't really like that. I'm also going to use this same general mixture for these boats. Now this oil primed linen is really letting the paint move around. It's not absorbing the paint like some of the Centurion panels I use does. You can see my sketch is almost completely gone. I can still roughly see it there. I'm going to take a little smaller brush, Evergreen, and add and take away some pigment here to firm up the composition now that I have some wash down. Just a touch of cad yellow for the tops of these fireboats. When the sun catches them, they're really bright white. Alright, I'll get my trusty squeegee out here now and firm up some of these lines on the bridge. Just a few firm lines can give it a real solid feel and help me get the geometry straight. I had a guy walk by saying, "That's going to be a really busy painting," and he's not wrong. It could be very busy. These are weights. They're just like concrete, gigantic blocks that lift this middle section when a tall boat needs to pass under. Here I'm just playing, just kind of experimenting with what this squeegee would do. There's the wash and the composition in, and I just kept stepping back until it felt close to being correct. It's still a little off. I think the light side of this pier is just a little big, so as I fill in with the full colors, I'll correct that a bit more. Whittle into some areas with the sky color as well. So this multimedia art panel, oil primed Clausen's number 13, it's a beautiful surface to work on, especially if you want to play for a long time with that initial wash. I could still take that squeegee and remove most of that paint, so it's a great one for playing around in that initial wash. It may be a bit frustrating if you're a beginner at that, because it does just continue to slip and slide around. Alright, so now I'll clean off my palette, get the Gamsol out, put the turpentine up, and mix up the colors matching the scene. I'm going to take my sunglasses off and just try to match the scene color for color as closely as I can, but also simplifying as I go and maybe making the colors just a bit cleaner, a little bit brighter in the foreground and a little duller and grayer in the background to try to get that feeling of depth coming through. As always, thanks so much for joining me. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe, share them with a friend. I've got some color mixed up here. I've got the blue of the sky and then the underside of the clouds, and then some lights, just a little bluer lavender, a little more pink lavender, and then a yellow-white I'll use this for some of the cloud shapes and also for the boat shapes in the foreground. I've also got the reds, a darker red and a lighter red for those fireboats. Then I've got some grays, darkest dark in the scene here for the bridge and for the bridge piers, and then a little bit of purple lavender and green, kind of greenish gray for the water. And then I can just use these for the reflections in the water. I could approach this a couple different ways. I could paint the sky first and then paint the bridge into the sky, or I could paint the bridge first and then try to paint the sky around the bridge. I think just to try to keep the sky clean, I'm going to go ahead and paint the sky roughly around the bridge shape and then paint the bridge up next to it. I can always clean it up back in the studio if it gets a little muddy or if I lose the shape a bit. I'm not going to get detailed. I'm not going to paint each and every strut and column and beam in this extremely complicated structure. I'm going to stay pretty close to the very rough abstract composition I have there, just suggesting that it's a complicated steel structure. So I'll start with this number 5 Rosemary Evergreen long flat. Add just a little Gamsol to help the paint flow off the brush, and I'll start with my sky color here. I think I'll dip into some of this lightest light, maybe a little bit of this lavender too to tone it down a touch so that it's not the brightest white in the scene, and just suggest some cloud shapes. I think I want a cloud shape pretty close to what I'm actually seeing out there now. You see how putting that, what looks like purple down here, when I put it on the purple of the panel, it looks green up here. Everything is so relative. So I'll add a little more white and a little more yellow so it doesn't look so green. Maybe a touch of this purple as well.
How close are you to being done?
Well, I got the sky in, and I've got the initial
That looks
sketch
really
in.
good.
Oh, thank you.
My wife can do some of that stuff, but not me.
Yeah.
I couldn't even make a stick man in the first grade.
Alright, I'm pretty happy with that sky. Hopefully there's not too much glare on the panel. Now, I'll use that same brush and paint the sky reflection in the water, just rough it in. I want the sky reflection in the water to be, in general, a little darker and a little warmer. And I want to add a little bit of this greenish cast, especially as it comes forward too. You can see the green of the bottom of the bay through the water as it gets closer here. I went ahead and mapped in the shadows in the water as well, using some of the bridge color with that same brush. Now with this smaller brush, it's a number 2 Rosemary long flat, Evergreen long flat. I'm going to try to map in the darks and the lights of the bridge. Well, here's where it ended up. 11 by 14 inch oil on linen panel. I've got a little work to do in the studio. Need to maybe reestablish some of the darks up here in the bridge, cover in some of the gaps where the wash is showing through, and just a little more detail on these fireboats I think would make them come forward. But overall, I like the composition. I had fun trying to tackle this really complicated scene. As always, thanks so much for joining me. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit my website. I sell these little plein air pieces at a reasonable price because I consider them practice. It really makes me happy when someone likes my art enough that they want to hang it in their home. You can also sign up for my newsletter and stay up to date on my new work and shows and get a discount on original art and prints.